You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Another breakthrough in the Bulli Bai investigation, this time by the Delhi police. A 21-year-old man from Assam identified as Niraj Bishnoi, who's alleged to be the mastermind behind the Bully Bai app, was arrested by the Delhi Police's Intelligence Fusion and Strategic Operations Unit on 6th January. With this arrest, DCP KPS Malhotra told the Quint that the quote-unquote controversial Bully Bai app case has been solved completely. As we know, barely 6 months after the Sulli Deal app had triggered a furore with its blatant Islamophobia and misogyny, the Bully Bai app was the second instance where publicly available photos of hundreds of Muslim women were misused and put on auction. Not a real auction, but a despicable intention of debasing and intimidating women. While the Sulli Deal investigation by the Delhi police had died down without a single arrest, anger amongst targeted women and their allies over the Delhi police's inaction seems to have nudged the probe in the Bully Bai case to yield some solid results. With Bishnoi being apprehended now, this is the 4th arrest made in the case, including the initial 3 arrests made by the Mumbai police. But what do we know about this alleged mastermind? What do his social media activities indicate about his views on women and religion? And how did Delhi police track down Niraj Bishnoi? We'll dig into all these questions with our guests today, Soumya Lakhani, who's a senior editor at the Quint, and Abhilash Malik, assistant editor of WebCoof, the Quint's fact-checking team. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you. I'm your host, Shorbari. Hours after the news of Niraj Bishnoi's arrest broke, Soumya Lakhani spoke to the 21-year-old man's father, who's based in Assam's Jorhat district. Niraj, who's a second-year B.Tech student of computer science at Vellore Institute of Technology in Bhopal, had been living in Jorhat with his parents and 2 sisters. And Soumya tells us more about her conversation with Bishnoi's father.
A few hours after that, I spoke to his father, who runs a small kirana store in Jorhat. The family moved there sometime in the 80s. Niraj lives in Jorhat with his 2 elder sisters and their parents, of course. And what the father told me during our conversation was that how his son was constantly on the laptop day and night. And, he claimed that he didn't know what the son was doing, but he assumed that he was always studying. Now, what the father also told me was that, I believe my son is innocent, and of course that is a matter of investigation. What the father told me is that in class 10th, Niraj had scored an 86%, which is when the Assam government gave him a laptop. And that, is somewhere when his obsession with the laptop sort of began. What Niraj's father told me was that the last 3 days he noticed that his son was parishan or troubled. That's the word the father had used. And on the night of the arrest, which is Wednesday, Niraj slept off early, which is around 10 p.m. And then at around 11 p.m., the police knocked at their doorstep. And they took him away, and I asked the father that, did your son say anything when he was leaving? And he said, no, he didn't say anything. He was quiet. In fact, I was angry and I scolded him and said that, you have sort of ruined the family name. But the father, of course, being a parent, believes that, his son hasn't done anything and that he's innocent. But as always, it's a matter of investigation. It is being done right now. Another interesting thing that the father told me was that how his son used to watch a news channel, and maybe that had an impact on him somehow. And he also said that, he stopped watching that news channel a year ago, but I did ask him further if he could tell us the name of the news channel, but he didn't. We don't know the name of the news channel, but yeah, so this is what we know so far.
Since his arrest, he's been suspended from his college for quote-unquote bringing disrepute to the institution. And I'm reading out a statement that VIT has sent to the Quint. Quote, "We got the information about his arrest from the media, and after shuffling through our records, we found his credentials to be true." But how did the police manage to track him down, calling him the quote-unquote mastermind? In a press conference, DCP KPS Malhotra said that the Delhi police uncovered evidence from his phone and his laptop.
दिल्ली पुलिस की स्पेशल सेल यूनिट इफ्सो ने नीरज बिश्नोई को जोरहाट असम से अरेस्ट करके बुली बाई के केस को वर्कआउट किया है। नीरज बिश्नोई वो कैरेक्टर है जिसने बुली बाई एप्लीकेशन गिटहब पे बनाई थी और इवन बुली बाई अंडरस्कोर नाम का ट्विटर हैंडल भी बनाया था। इसके बाद इसने उसको प्रोपोगेशन के लिए सोशल मीडिया प्रोपोगेटर्स को दिया था, बट मास्टरमाइंड, क्रिएटर एंड उसकी एविडेंसेस उसके फोन से और उसके लैपटॉप से मिल चुकी है। इसने जितने भी प्रोफाइल्स अपलोड किए थे उनकी डिटेल भी इसके लैपटॉप से मिल चुकी है। ये आज जोरहाट से दिल्ली लाया जा रहा है और इसको आज कोर्ट में पेश करके इसकी पुलिस कस्टडी ली जाएगी और फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन और फोरेंसिक एग्जामिनेशन इसकी गैजेट्स की होगी।
Now, despite all the outrage around the Bully Bai app, which has now been deleted from GitHub, the fact that this kind of online harassment could happen twice in a span of 6 months was not entirely shocking given the inadequate attention from law enforcement agencies the first time around. In our first episode on the Bully Bai case, we had brought to you first-hand accounts of women who were targeted in this app, and the initial lack of response in the Sulli Bai case, many felt, had emboldened the culprits to make a second attempt at harassing women over their gender and religious identities. We'd also spoken to cybersecurity and legal experts to look at how the police could have led the probe in the Sulli Deals case. If you missed that episode, you can find the link to it on the show notes. But moving forward, it's been reported that during his interrogation, Bishnoi had disclosed to the police that he's the person who created the Bully Bai app on GitHub. He said that he had also created several other Twitter handles that were sharing screenshots from the app. And the GitHub account and app, he said, were developed in November 2021 and then updated in December 2021. In one particular Twitter account that was also purportedly created by him, tweets had been posted confessing to the crime as well. Some of the tweets had also mocked the Mumbai police and warned them to stop targeting quote-unquote innocents. But let's take a deeper look into the man who's alleged to be the face behind the app. In the age of social media, mapping online activities is a window to understanding a person's opinions and their views on various matters. And the Quint examined Bishnoi's Quora profile, which gave an insight into his views as a teenager, especially his opinions about the superiority of Hinduism, expertise on tech matters, and a few glimpses of misogyny. From what we found so far, Bishnoi seems to have been active on Quora during his teenage years up to 2018. In that span, he had posted 57 answers and 2 questions that are still publicly visible on Quora. Perhaps it's also interesting to note that one of the 2 questions is about whether Muslim women are allowed in mosques. Abhilash Malik, assistant editor of WebCove, the Quint's fact-checking vertical, sampled some of these responses on religion and Bishnoi's belief on the superiority of Hinduism.
Bishnoi's answers from, mind you, when he was 16 years old, show that he was reading about Hinduism from a very young age. He's particularly enthusiastic about the Bhagavad Gita, and he calls it an international bestseller. Bishnoi's Quora answers show his belief in the superiority of the Sanatan Dharma, and to an extent shows some amount of hate for other faiths. For example, in one instance, Bishnoi says that Hinduism was certainly the most developed religion because it was created 1,000 years before other religions were created. And he claims that Hindus were being forced to convert, and goes on to say that some religions would not have existed had Hindus not been converted.
Expectedly, some of Bishnoi's core activities also show his proclivity towards working around tech. In a YouTube video that he had shared, he's seen describing the entire process behind building a website for free. In another instance, he advised people what operating system was better for a laptop. While most of Bishnoi's answers on Quora are either on religion or tech, Abhilash points out that the one answer that received a large number of responses was, interestingly, on Sunny Leone.
Bishnoi's expertise in tech is also quite evident from his Quora answers. He's answered a wide range of tech-related questions, from creating free websites, coding, to how antiviral software works. In fact, Bishnoi's first available answer is from 16th March 2016, when he would be roughly 15 to 16 years old, where he answers the question, how hard is it to develop an anti-software? And his answer to the question is as easy as making a masterpiece. In some other answers, Bishnoi talks about how to create a free website, how to go around YouTube's copyright policy. He even teaches how to change the audio, sort of modulate the audio and change the look of a video to ensure that you don't get a strike. And that video has been viewed over 10,000 times. It's difficult to analyze his views about women from his Quora answers because there were very few. But this one particular answer about Sunny Leone is what caught our attention. It gained a lot of views, over 78,000 views, and the question basically was, how did Sunny Leone become a porn star? And while answering the question, Bishnoi attributes it to her upbringing, says that she was greedy, and ends his answer with a abusive slur targeted at Sunny Leone, showing that he did not approve of Bollywood accepting Sunny Leone into its arms.
But what does Niraj Bishnoi's online activity from his teenage years tell us about Niraj Bishnoi, the alleged mastermind behind the Bulli Bai app?
From the investigation so far, we have found that Niraj Bishnoi was the quote-unquote mastermind behind the Bully Bai app, and he created multiple Twitter handles and also the app. But it would still be important to find out if he was actually the one who conceived the idea, or if he was just providing the technical support to someone else. Bishnoi's answers on Quora show that he was way ahead of his time and someone who would spend hours together on the screen. This was actually corroborated by his father, who told the Quint that Bishnoi would be on the laptop all day. He loved technology and he loved internet, and it's evident in one of his answers. Actually, he when he answers a question, what if there was no internet, and Bishnoi claims that if there was no internet, the economy of the state would go down, and claims that the internet would also affect education. I mean, if you look at his Quora activity, it is not hard to believe that a 20-year-old would have the technical expertise to create an app such as Bully Bai. However, it will be very crucial to find out what happened between early 2018 to say end of 2021, when he actually created Bully Bai. Who did he interact with? What were these anonymous accounts that he created? Why did he create those accounts? And what was happening in the offline life of Niraj Bishnoi?
A Delhi court sent Niraj Bishnoi to 7 days in police custody in connection to the case. And although the case is still ongoing and there's still much left to see, will the proactive probe of the police prove to be a deterrent to online harassment? For more details on this probe, please follow our coverage on the case. You can find the link to the stories that we've referred to in this episode on our show notes. You can also check out the Quint's website for more stories on this. But before I sign off for the weekend, let me tell you about the 2 new podcast releases that we have that'll make for an excellent weekend listening. First up, we have a new episode of Itni Starry Baatein with none other than Ranveer Singh. In a candid conversation with Abira, the actor who recently played the lead role in 83 chats about his work, his life, and his wife. Also back by popular demand is Kisse Kahaniyan Season 2 with new characters and new stories on love and nostalgia. You can follow both these podcasts on any of your preferred streaming platforms, and happy listening. If you like listening to this episode, please subscribe to the Big Story playlist for episodic updates. We're live on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website and check out the podcast section. For any feedback, shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.